Welcome to Mobile Car Mechanic. Today we're going to show you how to replace a radiator on this 2013 Honda Accord. It's going to apply from 2013 all the way to 2017. Let's get to it. Parts and tools needed are going to be the radiator itself, the coolant, possibly 2 gallons, depending on how much comes out, a 17mm wrench, a pick tool or a small screwdriver, a wrench, an extension, and a 10mm socket. All right, so before we go ahead and start, make sure your engine's cool. Otherwise, the system is pressurized, it's really hot. This is over 180 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. You will burn yourself, you might send yourself to the hospital, so please be aware of that. Make sure you're doing this on a cold engine. So now that we got that out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and take the cap off. So we're gonna go ahead and twist it off. Okay, put the cap to the side for now. We're going to go ahead and take off this hose to the overflow tank. Just going to go ahead and try to spin it up and then just pull out. Put that to the side for now. Okay, now there's other things that we do need to take off. The reason why we're replacing the radiator, and this may happen to you as well, is as you can see there's a lot of wetness here. This is where the radiator end tank is, and this is very common after the radiator kind of just wears out. This car has like 260,000 miles on it, so it's probably about that time. So if you see this, for sure your radiator is completely done. Now that we got that out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and tackle this guy off first, and then we'll go ahead and get the clamps here for the upper radiator hose. So to get this out, we're gonna go ahead and use either like a small Phillips head, or in my case I have a small pick tool. I'm just gonna go ahead and push the pins in. So push it in. You'll hear it click. Once that's done, you're just gonna go ahead and lift this up and out of the way. I'll set this off to the side. Now that we got it set off to the side, now we have a little bit more room. So once we take this off, we'll have more room in here. But what we're going to do first, before we go ahead and take off the top radiator hose, is there is a petcock. Now, for this demonstration, the driver of this car has been losing a lot of coolant. I don't even know if there's any in there. As you can see, if you look inside there now, it's pretty much empty. So, but we're going to go ahead and locate the petcock. You can probably do this from the top. So you'll see there's a little like white a little white piece right there. Give me a second. All right, so in order to drain the radiator, we're going to go ahead and look for and locate the petcock. It's going to be this little butterfly looking piece right here. So we're going to want to get that. We're going to turn it lefty-loosey, and we're going to put a drain pan under there to go ahead and drain whatever remaining coolant is actually in the system. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and twist the petcock. You should start hear it draining if there is anything actually in there. Okay, and you don't need to take it all the way out. So you can see we're draining out coolant, or in this case just flat out distilled water, because this thing was just straight leaking the coolant, and he just kept topping it off so he could do what he had to do. So once that's finished, we'll go ahead and close the petcock. All right, so now that it's all the way drained out, we're gonna go ahead and twist it counterclockwise. So just make sure that we tighten it. So there's gonna still be a little bit of coolant in the radiator. That's just the way they work. They don't always drain completely. So we just want to make sure we minimize our mess. So now what I'm going to focus on is the upper radiator hose. So we're going to go ahead and remove this clamp. I'm going to use some basic pliers here and hope that we can just go ahead and loosen up the clamp. Just give it a rock and forth, back and forth. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and give her the old twist, kind of break it loose. And we'll just wiggle it back and forth. See if we can put this somewhere here, out of the way. All right, so now we have the top of the radiator pretty much free to go. So we can do this one of two ways. We can either take off each fan and then take the radiator, or we can unplug all the connectors and then disconnect this guy right here, which we're gonna have to do regardless because it's gonna be a lot easier than going to the bottom. We can either take it off as one complete deal, but for me, I think what I want to do is I want to just take each fan off so it clears a little bit better. So we're going to deal with a fan connector here. So this side, I believe, is the radiator fan, and this side is the condenser fan. So we have a connector right here. All right. There is going to be a connector, a little tab on it. We're going to pinch it down. Okay, and then we're going to push the connector down at the same time. So let me see if I can do it without blocking the camera. I don't think that's going to be possible, but let's see. Okay, well, I unhooked it off of there. So you do need to have, but this is the connector that we're talking about right here. So pinch this tab, and then we're going to pull down. Okay. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off these two 10 millimeter screws. Okay, that's one. I'll go ahead and tackle this one. Okay, now we can go ahead and just swing it out and then pull up. So this was the connector here. Looks like it might have came out of this guy, but it's attached there just like that. And the connector is right here. So just look at the connector here. You'll see this tab. You're going to pinch it and then pull down. So now that we got this one out of the way, we're going to go ahead and tackle the condenser fan. All right, so before we go ahead and remove the other fan, that connector that we had going to the right fan, the passenger side fan, this has a clip to it. This one's already broken, but there's a clip here that you have to pop this off. You need to pop this off there, otherwise you can't remove this. So as you can see, it's a little one of those wing clips. So you can use either a flathead or some sort of pry tool, like a panel removal tool that pops clips to try to get that out. It attaches into this little the bottom right here into the square. I'll show you once I take it off. But now that we got that loosened up, we're going to go ahead and tackle the two 10 mils on the top here. There is a connector on the bottom that I did forget to go and get to, but let's see if we can do it while the fan itself is kind of loose. But I'll show you. It's actually right here. Let me put it back into place. So there's a connector right there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and try to see if we can loosen it up. We're going to pinch the tab and pull down, just like that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pull this out. Should come out easily. here's the connector in question. So this is the connector that goes to the fan. Again, it's just a little clip, just pinch it and pull down. Now, as you can see, there's also another connector here. This is a coolant temperature sensor. So we're gonna go ahead and pinch that out and then pull forward. And that's for all the connections there. I'm gonna try to go ahead and see if what's gonna be easier. Either we can try to tackle the radiator hose down here, this clamp, or potentially this one right here on the upper portion of the thermostat assembly. I think that might be easier once we remove these brackets. It'll give us a little bit of wiggle room. But let's go ahead and try the upper thermostat method first. What I'm gonna do is, because this wire is in the freaking way, is I'm gonna go ahead and pinch this little tab up here up and then pull outward. Okay. We're gonna do the same thing for this one here too. All right, should get the harness just kind of slightly out of the way. And I'm gonna try to go ahead and remove this bracket here for that harness. See if we can do it without removing it all the way. I'm gonna go ahead and try to pinch the, of course it's in the way. It's not gonna, there's no easy way out. Okay, now let's see if I can slip my pliers under there without being too distracted here. Okay, so that might have been a waste of time, given that the battery is kind of in the way. So I'm going to go ahead and forget about that method, and I'm just going to go ahead and loosen up these brackets up here, these two brackets that hold the radiator. Then I'm going to lift the radiator just a slight bit so I can get easier access to that clamp. So we'll just go ahead and start on the passenger side. It's two 10 millimeters. All right, we'll take the clamp off. I'll put the screws next to it. Same thing for here. All right, now you can see that the radiator pretty much moves really loosely. So I'm gonna go ahead and just lift it a little bit here. And my objective now is to get this clamp right here. So we're gonna pinch it. I'm gonna twist it up so I can get a little bit easier access to moving it. And then we're gonna go ahead and twist off the hose, hopefully. Alright, gonna get the hose out. Now that the clamp is out of the place, we're gonna go ahead and twist off the perimeter of it so it loosens it up. Okay, we'll do it like how we did the top portion of the radiator hose and just kind of wiggle it back and forth. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and take out the radiator. Hopefully that looks all right. Just so that you're aware as well, it looks like the bottom harness here does attach to the bottom of the radiator. So you may need to use, again, a flathead or a pry tool, like what do you call it, a panel popper tool. So this one just pops out. Now we should be able to go ahead and pull out the radiator. All right, so what we have to do is we have to take off the coolant temperature sensor here off the radiator. It's going to be a 17mm wrench. So we're going to go ahead and just twist it off. It threads in. You want to thread it into the new radiator. All right. So you can see we have an O-ring. Looks like it's still in good condition. Now let's go ahead to the replacement radiator. Then we're going to go ahead and take off this little plug that they put on there. So you can use a flathead or a Phillips. So as you can see now, you have the threaded portion right there. We're just going to go ahead and screw it in until it stops, and then we'll just give it a little bit of a tightening. It may not necessarily go back in the same orientation that the other one was in, because due to the fact that it just threads in. So we're going to leave it like that. It looks like that's good. Now that we have that out of the way, we're just going to make sure that this is tight. It looks like it's tight, so we're good. So we'll now go ahead and start mounting this onto the vehicle. One thing I almost forgot to show you guys is that obviously on the old radiator, there are little grommets that actually plug into these little pegs. So make sure not to forget those, because that's what secures the bottom of the radiator into the vehicle. So we're gonna go ahead and just insert them in here, just like that. Okay. Now we're gonna put the radiator in the right orientation. We're gonna go ahead and put those grommets that go on the bottom of the radiator fit right here and right here. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and just gently lower it in there. We don't want to bend the fins. Sometimes when you get these radiators brand new, the fins can be bent. It's not a big deal, but try not to add to it if you can. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put the lower radiator hose in place. Just going to go ahead and wiggle it all the way until it bottoms out. And then we're going to go ahead and get our pliers here. Now, it was on the side earlier, so I'm going to try to match that. I'm going to go ahead and lift up the radiator again, and then just kind of wiggle it until it gets into place. Might need to tighten this up a little bit more. And what our objective here is to put the clamp back in the same like pattern, the same witness mark that it was in. So now that we have it in place, we are golden. Just make sure that the radiator is not moving. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in this coolant temperature sensor connector. So we'll go ahead and plug it in until you hear it click. It's clicked in place. Then I'm going to go ahead and insert this little click tab in there. And then we're going to go ahead and put the little brackets that hold the radiator in place so that the radiator is now not bouncing around. All right, so now we have the bracket. This is the left side for the driver. Just going to go ahead and insert it in there, and then we're going to go ahead and line up the holes here for the screws, or the bolt, whatever, screws, bolts, whatever you want to call them. Just going to screw them in by hand first so that it locks it down. Okay, same thing here. All right. Now I'm going to leave this loose and we're going to go onto the passenger side so that we can make sure that we have everything lined up. And then we'll go ahead and do the final tightening. So same thing, just go ahead and put the bracket over the radiator tab there. Okay. Fantastic. So now, as you can see, it's pretty much secured. Now we're going to go ahead and start tightening things down. We're going to go ahead and use our 10 millimeter. Okay, again, you don't need to go crazy tight on these. Just snug them down. Beautiful. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and do the driver's side. All right, so now that we got that snug down, we're gonna go ahead and start putting in the fans. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put in the driver's side fan first. So remember the connector's down here at the bottom. And then this is the section where that passenger side harness for the passenger side fan clips onto. So we're gonna clip it back in here once we mount this in place and screw it down. So we have the wire dangling right here. All we're gonna have to do is, once we get this down, is we're gonna just slide it in there until it clicks. Now there's little pins over here that are gonna go into the sections here on the radiator. So there's one right here, and then there's one right here. So just go ahead and make sure that you have that put in there. Okay, and you'll know you'll have it in place when it's not shimmying, and that the tabs up here match up with the screw holes. Now that we got that in place, we are going to go ahead and just start the threading process here, just to make sure that we got it in place. Going to do it for the other side too. All right. Now let's go ahead and tighten them down. You don't need to go super tight on those. All right, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and plug in that connector I was telling you about. Might be a little hard to see, but we're gonna go ahead and plug this into this guy right there. So this is gonna go right into here. Make sure it's going in straight, and you should hear it click or feel it click. All right, now that's in place. I'm gonna go ahead and get the other fan in here in place. So the process is pretty much going to be the same as the other side, the driver's side. We have the two pins here that we're going to go ahead and use here to locate the fan. And then this is the connector for the fan. So let's go ahead and put it into those 2 holes that you see right here. So you should see 2 tabs sticking out with holes in them. Just gonna go ahead and try to line it up. Okay, looks like we're solid. We're in place. Okay, now that we have that in place, let's go ahead and put that connector in there. This one's a little dangly now, so we're just gonna go ahead and get this right into here. Normally it would just be stuck to the radiator, but we're gonna go ahead and line it up, hopefully. So as you can see, it's going in now. We're just gonna go ahead and squeeze it. It's clicked in place. Just go ahead and attach it there. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put this overflow little hose here in place. It'll just bottom out. And then what I'm gonna do is, because I did some extra steps, is for no reason, I thought I could try to get the upper radiator hose, but because I can't, I am going to put that bracket back into place. You don't need to do this because it didn't work for me. Probably not gonna work for you. Okay. Recommend holding the bracket down so that it doesn't spin when you try to tighten it up. Beautiful. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and clip these on to where they were. All they do is just slide in. Okay, this one's gonna slide in as well, locked in place. Now we're gonna go ahead and get our upper radiator hose and plug it in. Okay, it's lined up. I'm gonna go ahead and get our clamp into place and try to match it the way it looked before. I'm going to match up the witness marks here as best as we can. Fantastic. All right, so now we're done. Now we just have to fill up the radiator with coolant. Okay, so one thing I did need to include is that piece that we took off that goes to the air box. Earlier we pushed in the pins, so we have to pop them back out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go under under the clip, and we're going to push it like that until it pops out. You shouldn't push it that hard, but essentially it just needs to stick up, just like that. We're going to do the same thing for this one, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and connect this piece into this piece right here. Okay, and then we're just going to line it up to those holes where those clips go. Push this until it's flush, just like that. Cool. Now we can go ahead and start filling up the radiator with coolant. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start pouring some coolant. You'll probably want a funnel. And I don't have mine on me by chance because I forgot it. Little trick that I saw on the internet today is, let's see if it actually works, is apparently there's a little slicer built into this thing. So let's see if it cuts this guy out. No, it kind of does. How about that? All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill up the radiator first. And once we have it all the way topped off, then we'll start the vehicle so that the thermostat opens up after it heats up. All right, so now we have the radiator pretty much all the way filled up to the top, but that's just the radiator. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna let the car run until it gets to operating temperature. And that what will happen is the thermostat will then open and this level should drop, and then we'll continue to go ahead and keep pouring coolant in there until it's at a steady level and there's no bubbles coming out anymore. So that means all the air is out of the system. So let's go ahead and start the vehicle now. All right, so the level is going to fluctuate. As you can see, it already kind of just fell a little bit, but we're going to have to wait here for at least like 5-10 minutes until the car warms up. You can rev the engine around 3,000 RPMs to kind of help get the engine warmed up quicker. So let's go ahead and just wait it out. All right, so what I did is I revved the engine for about 3,000 RPMs for about 5-6 minutes. Got it all the way up to about 203 degrees Fahrenheit. The fans kicked on. Now, as you can see, once we look inside here, the level has dropped, but not drastically. So we're gonna go ahead and keep topping it off. Okay. Sometimes squeezing the hose will kind of help it out a little bit. The reason why we don't want air in the system is it will create air pockets that will create more heat. So, want to make sure that we get rid of anything. We're essentially boiling the air out of the system. So, I think we're pretty much there now. All right. All right, pretty much almost, we're just doing small little fills because I think it's pretty much all the way filled up. We're just finding a little bit of air pockets. Thank you for watching Mobile Car Mechanic. Today we showed you how to change the radiator on this 2013 Honda Accord. It's going to apply from 2013 all the way to 2017. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one.